webinar is going to be conducted in English, so I hope you don't mind. So please let me know if you can. Just tell me where you're from. Are you from Warsaw? Are you from Szczecin? Are you from Wrocław? And do you hear us? So it would be really nice if you just chat with us a little bit in terms where you're from and do you hear us? So it's always like a little bit starting this conversation. Great. So we have some people from Poznań. Wonderful. You don't have to mention, but it's really great that we are seeing we're able to meet and see people from many, many places in not only Poland. So guys, I'm really, really excited because we have great ladies with us. And this is very unique and important webinar because it's a webinar which is conducted with one of our partners, and the partners who are the ones who are hiring our alumni. So it's very important for you to know and meet them. And before I do that, and I introduce you Julia and Filipa, I don't have just 2 minutes about Future Colors. So as you know, here I am again. My name is Joanna Pruszyńska-Pytkowska. I'm the co-founder of Future Colors, a company which was established almost 7 years ago, and is basically focusing on reskilling, upskilling people to technology jobs. So we're helping everyone to do a smooth career change towards technological paths. As you know, we have very, very different approaches in terms of different positions you can basically train for, like data science, cybersecurity, programming, of course, testing, UX, and of course, AI. So I'm very happy to join you guys, and I'm very happy to have this opportunity to meet, because as Future Colors, we are basically working to make this career switch. And what is important, we're doing that very intensively in very intensive boot camps, which provide you a total preparation for your new jobs. And we, as I mentioned, we have 14 different paths, and also we work in 5 different markets. What is also important for us is to bring more women to technology, and not only women, but also different people, different genders, and different sexes, and different cultures. So this is what Filipa is going to speak about, but this is also our mission. So we work in terms of bringing more women to technology. At the moment, all this alumni is 67% of our alumni are women, and we're creating this Women IT Day, important annual event, and I invite you all on it for the 20th of November, which is going to be a workshops, presentation, and many, many amazing experts who you can speak to and listen to and learn from them. So this is very important for us, and this is important that you know that that's what we do, is doing that to help people quickly change their careers and move to these amazing opportunities which are in IT. And what you're going to learn, we're going to speak about how to enter to IT, how it actually is possible, what companies are looking for as Consid, and we're going to speak about the diversity and inclusion, how it's important, and actually companies help to establish ourselves as this kind of entity which helps individuals to meet and be there and feel themselves comfortable. And now I'd like to introduce my guest. So I have amazing opportunity to speak with Julia. Julia, she's a HR recruitment and head of operation at talent acquisition based in Poland. Julia has been leading Consid Polish operation for 2 years. So she has quite experience, and I'm sure she's seen a lot of candidates. And it was important that she works across many different markets from USA, UK, and Europe, and brings the global perspective to the local market, which is Polish. And Julia every day oversees both recruitment delivery and operation development, working directly with clients to provide tailored solutions that meet their business needs. So welcome, Julia. Very happy that you have spent this time on this Wednesday afternoon. And hello, Filipa. Filipa she's of something which I hope she's going to explain us, head of Q. Very interesting name. I never heard about this kind of Q as a head of the department. And she's in Consid based in Sweden. So we have a friend from Sweden. Filipa has been part of Consid for nearly 3 years with a bachelor's degree in social psychology. She works with HR and recruitment, who also leading the company's efforts for equality and inclusion. So it's very, very important, as I know, with the elections of Trump and all discussion also in Poland, how the diversity and inclusion is really important, how focus of different companies are changing. So it's very crucial that we have someone like Philippa who will explain what actually is going on and what actually company is doing as the effort. So she basically helped the internal network of the decade to promoting diversity and inclusion and drives strategic initiatives to support a more inclusive workspace throughout the Nordics. And let me introduce the company, Consid. It's a Swedish, as I mentioned, Swedish company, which is one of the biggest growing IT company, with almost 2,000 employees across multiple markets, is supporting digital transformation of companies worldwide for 2 decades, with expertise spanning from small businesses to startups. So what they offer is the combination of innovation, strategy thinking, cutting-edge technologies. But this is something which I hope you're going to explain a little bit more. And this is where we're going to start. So guys, thank you very much for joining. Now I'd pass conversations to our friends. So I'll start maybe with Julia. Can you tell me more about the company, what you do, and what kind of people, what kind of recruiters are you after? And if you can tell me a little bit what your ideal candidates and basically what your lessons learned across your experience in terms of what are the best preparation to go to actually apply to a company like yours.
Absolutely. So hi everyone. So to provide you with a little bit more of details about Consid and who we are, just in a nutshell, to begin with. So Consid is a Swedish company that has been on the market for almost 25 years. We're actually celebrating our 25th years of experience this year. And what we do, we provide tailored solution in IT, business development and communication through expert consultants and teams, not our own products. So this is just to clarify that we are a consulting company, not a product company. So we don't generate our own products, and our let's say core focus is on I would say outsourcing and consulting, supporting international clients by embedding our specialists directly into their projects. And to give you a little bit more understanding here on how we operate, I would say that we operate with a decentralized structure that gives each department full autonomy, enabling a startup-like agility within a stable organization. Our culture is definitely rooted in entrepreneurship and people-first values. We look for proactive and independent team players. And over the past 4 years, despite the fact that Consid has been on the market for quite some time now, we have expanded into new markets like Germany, Denmark, Norway, Finland, and Poland, of course. And we are now focused on growing our internal team, whilst most roles in Poland are 100% remote. Some may involve on-site work without, like, depending on the client's requirements. So we do have some positions that might require hybrid or on-site setups. So that's just to kind of put a note out there. And in terms of who we are on the lookout for right now from the recruitment perspective, I would say that due to the fact that, as I mentioned, we are mostly looking to hire our internal teams now, which means that we are currently working mostly with subcontractors, due to the fact that in Poland we are working with short-term contracts, short-term projects, which is where a lot of it would be a little bit hard to and difficult and quite a hustle to hire someone directly in-house to Consid. But due to that, that doesn't change the fact that we are still looking for people who thrive in a dynamic international environment and enjoy taking their ownership in what they do. But generally speaking, in terms of the role that we're currently sort of have been hiring for the past, let's say 6 months, starting from the beginning of this year. So we're talking about cloud engineers, solution architects, data analysts, SAP specialists, Salesforce developers, also full stack developers that are sort of focusing on Python and Node.js on the backend side of things, and React on the front end side. We were also looking for all kind of data sort of focus roles, including machine learning and AI, that we're probably going to dive into later on. But that's just kind of like in a nutshell in terms of what kind of positions are actually appearing. But I would say that this is quite dynamically changing due to the fact that the market is quite interesting, let's just put it in that way, for the past 2 years, and it's emerging and it's changing and it's dynamic. So it's really hard to say what kind of it's really hard to forecast what kind of positions we would be hiring for in the near future. So I would put a period here. And Joanna, if you could just repeat, I know that there were a few additional questions, but as I was speaking, those I've probably lost one of those.
Okay, so you mentioned there's a lot of data science, machine learning, and there's so many, even Salesforce. So, but you tell me, do you have, because what is important for everyone here to wonder is about, what about the junior positions? Because everyone is afraid that it's not, that many companies are no longer looking for junior entry position. One of this is because of the general concept that AI is basically disrupting the entry position, because there's so many things can be done, which usually the junior was doing. So if you can just elaborate on that, there's probably some people here who are, not data scientists with 6 years experience, if you're looking for, but people who are actually planning to enter this road and they're studying to be data scientists. So what you will say about that? Do you think is there a chance for them, to ones with not such a huge experience? And is it true that it's so difficult to start a entry-level position even in Consid or other companies? What's your thought about that, Julia?
Okay, so maybe let's start with the junior developers in particular, in general, right now. Let's begin with the candid that, it is the truth. Like, the truth is that, yes, it has become more difficult to break into the tech as a junior, as a person that doesn't have the right, commercial experience. What happened on the market right now is, well, in the past few years, what happened is that many companies have reduced entry-level hiring, and expectation have, definitely shifted towards hiring juniors who are closer to a mid-level positions in terms of, let's say, readiness, the commercial experience, so having a little bit more experience than just the boot camps or, the internal projects or personal project that they have made on GitHub, right? But that said, I'm not saying that, it's impossible to get into the tech. I would say that the bar level, simply raised, and the key is to kind of combine the technical foundation with the curiosity, the adaptability, and a visible commitment to actually learning. And I would say that, what I'm seeing, like when it comes to Consid, right now we are not hiring junior developers due to the market and due to the demand that we have on the client's side and the customers that we're cooperating with. So it's slightly more a difficult time for us to hire junior developers, but that's what we have been doing, in the past, and I'll get into that later on. But it seems that when we're talking about the AI, right, I wouldn't say that artificial intelligence would replace junior developers, or that seeing in the near future that artificial intelligence will actually replace any software engineer. But what I would say here, and perhaps, everyone has their own sort of opinion about that, but I feel like it's all about reshaping what the role of a developer looks like. I would think of that as a new layer of capability, not a replacement. So I feel like, this is an opportunity. Like, if you think about just as search engines revolutionized, right, how we access knowledge. We're in Google before, there were books, right? Then there was the new search engine. Now AI is transforming how we design, how we build, and how we ship digital products, right? So for juniors, what I would say here is, let me think, it's to think about it as an opportunity, because the developers who learn how to use AI, they would, rather than actually be scared of it and fear it, are already outperforming peers who really solely on, who can actually not rely solely on the traditional methods, right? But what I'm also seeing here is the fact that if we think about the AI tools, like let's say using tools like ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot for ideation, debugging, or like documentation, we can using these tools, we can automate small repetitive coding tasks, right? To focus on design, to focus on the logic. We can explore, let's say, AI APIs to build smarter, more dynamic features. But I think what is really crucial to have in mind here is that using AI is effective. Using AI effectively is actually not about taking the outputs at a face value, right? It's about understanding how these works, verifying the results, because we all know that, let's say, ChatGPT or like any other tools, they are just algorithms. They it's not just about understanding syntax. We need to understand whether the output that the AI is actually giving us is the verified results that we either have to work on again, or we can build up on that to actually add this human judgment, right?
Okay, so what basically saying is to, of course, everyone who has the skills with AI, they're just gonna perform much better, and it's something which we all have to know.
Exactly.
And you're saying that the software engineers, they're not going to leave, they're not going to be gone, they're just going to work smarter with AI, and AI is not replacing them. That's
exactly.
And also wouldn't wonder, okay, so how do you think a person who has in mind of going to job with Consid, what do you think is the best way to prepare for to apply to Consid? Of course, they see the website, can you go through the process in terms of applying? And also, if you can tell us more about what you find as interesting from your experience in your recruitment, how to actually people, candidates are the best kind of cases of preparation for interview finally. If they
sure. Would you like me to focus on the junior candidates? Or
junior, yes, because I think that's what is important. And I understand that at the moment you don't have positions for them, but you said it quickly changes. So it could be that, in September, you're going to tell us, hey, future colleagues, send us the best candidates from, say, data science, for example, or from testing. And, so this is how these people can actually prepare. You can tell us, because you have so much expertise in that field.
Absolutely. So maybe let's start with how our recruitment kind of process looks like and where you can apply. So basically, what I'm seeing in Sweden and in Poland, the recruitment process looks quite similar, despite different regions, different offices, different countries. In Sweden, we usually use our own. We use our website for our career website, where we put out the job opportunities where you can, of course, apply. You can see those on our LinkedIn profiles, and our recruiters are also resharing these jobs on the market, so everyone can see that and apply through that. But on the other hand, what our recruiters are also doing, we are outreaching to the candidates on LinkedIn ourselves, right? So we did a direct search, we outreach to the potential candidates that meet the requirements that we're on the lookout for, and then we're heading into that particular process where from the, let's say, the application or that first contact with the candidate, we're moving forward to the screening stage, right? Which is an HR interview, where we don't usually go into tech as much, but it's more of a, let's say, cultural fit and sort of like a general HR conversation to get to know each other with a blend of it.
You're saying that you're not testing the technology first, basically the capabilities, but you're doing cultural fit. That's quite interesting. That's more important for you than technological. Okay.
Yes. And we're actually doing that more often, at least in Poland, because what happens is that, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit later, but perhaps maybe that's the right place to say it. But a lot more international companies, they want to hire people with a blend of technical and soft skills. And that's what's, hugely important to them right now. It doesn't matter if you are hugely a technical person with 20 years plus of experience, you have been freelancing, you have been working with, let's say, I don't know, 15 different clients, customers for the past, let's say 6 months or even more. And, you're tech savvy, but you have been working as freelancer, you've taken the ownership, and you can't really, what I'm seeing is that these kind of people, they can't really work in teams. They can't collaborate. They cannot do pair programming, for example, and it's really difficult for them to find themselves around, a big organization, working within a squad. So what I'm seeing working with our customers in Poland and the Scandinavian market is that they are more often looking into not only the technical expertise, but the soft skills more, whether they can collaborate, whether this would be a cultural fit for that organization to kind of, be able to cooperate with.
So what is cultural fit? Or maybe even Filipa can add to that, because, you're very much on creating the culture, and diversity inclusion is part of the culture. And I'm very happy that you're joining on this conversation about soft skills, because it's something which is often still undermined. So it's amazing that you, Julia, are just mentioning. But what is exactly the cultural fit you? Because you say this kind of buzzword culture fit, but it was exactly for the Consid. What is the ideal candidate? Maybe Filipa, can you kind of start into that conversation?
Yeah, of course. I mean, a culture fit is hard to explain, but usually we are looking for, now I'm speaking out of the Swedish perspective here, but we are looking for people who are outgoing, able to talk with people, but these are not mainly people we're looking for. We need different kind of personalities to make it a cultural fit. But I think one of the best examples I have is, I had an interview today and I actually talked about it, that Consid is not like a normal like other companies, because we have more of a platform. Nobody will tell you what to do, but you have to be eager to learn and finding your own path, kind of. So I think that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the culture of fit as well, because some companies are very Americanized, where it's a typical hierarchy, and we don't really have that. So you have to be a culture fit to that as well, a different kind of company.
Okay, so in terms is like you're saying, basically the people have to be outgoing, collaborating. It's usually not considered to people from the tech world, right? And so that's kind of controversial, but at the same time, it's great, because I think a lot of people who are coming from totally different backgrounds and learning from start, they have this amazing skills, which is critical thinking, being working with different collaborative situation, and having many crisis situations they have to handle. So this is very important to how this is crucial to fit in this the new cultural, very technological world, that is technical skills are not so necessary. So it's very good. I think it's great takeout from this, that you or the people who are on this conference, on this webinar, understand that we really can foster this kind of skills. And that's the thing, Julia. Can we learn it? For example, someone is very a geek and very introverted. Is it something you can learn, this kind of soft skills you just mentioned, or is it really coming from your DNA? What do you think? Or you have this situation in your past that you see someone who was able to develop that kind of skills? Or is basically you think this have to be already taken?
I feel like this is kind of a trait that that can be developed, actually, and I'm saying that based on the some of the consultants that I had the chance to work with before, where they were close and kind of more introverted. But once they received a little bit more support from the team, and there were a little, adjustments made on the client side on the project, they felt a little bit more open, and it taken some time, but they developed and they became more sort of maybe not extroverted, maybe that's too much to say, but they've actually fitted into the team and developed these kind of soft skills.
But it is some kind of a training? Is something what Philippa team will do, or is it something they have internal mentorship or coaching? Because if you have this amazing candidate who like never 100%, to one you want, so is it possible to actually they receive this kind of guidance or leadership towards so they can grow these skills? How does that work in Consid?
Yeah, we actually have a consultant school, is what we call it.
Okay, tell us more.
This is also for people that they might be extrovert, but they have never been consultants before, because this is a different kind of job type, because you need to work with a customer, so you're representing a company. And by that, we have this consultant school, which you can go through us. And it's pre-played videos and some tests, I think. I don't remember actually. Where you can train for how to be a consultant, what's expected from you. I mean, you can work in a tech company for 10 years, but you've never been a consultant, because that is different.
Okay.
And we also have a mentorship program, which is Q Mentoria. It's mainly for women, but you get paired up with a mentor at Consid, which is experienced, and then you can talk about whatever you want. It could be imposter syndrome, it could be technical skills or interview prep, or so we have some things that we offer. Actually.
Well, tell me more, because I'm interested, since your role is driving the diversity inclusion within the Consid. Can you tell me about what you do and how you actually help the people who are already either within the company or helping to adjust? Because I'm sure we had, for example, in the past, many programs for diversity and inclusion. We had this fund, basically, and we are looking for people who had some kind of hardship. They were like transgender, or they're doing a transition, change of the correction of the sex, and we noticed that there was these people who had a lot of difficulties because because of the background they had to do with the families, with the environment. They had a lot of luggage of psychological situation, which really it didn't help them to start to very straight environment. So and we noticed that some of them, they were extremely talented people, but they had the past they have with so much unacceptance for many of this kind of individuals, especially they were like quite young people. We found that it's a guidance and support and readiness of a company to to accepting them to their environment, helping to be there, and also that they feel adjusted. It's extremely crucial for preparing a company for them to do it. So I just want to, Philippa, you can express what actually what you do and what you actually helping these individuals. Bring them.
Yes, I mean, Q by Consid is our equality network, and now we're actually broadening it to both Germany and Poland, which is fun, and Denmark and Norway. But since I'm working with as head of Q, I take the main strategy of where we're going, and we are actually focusing on all these kind of categories that you were talking about. Not only gender, it's also gender identity, expression, ethnicity, disability. There's more to it as well. But the thing is, we are trying to integrate this in the company as a whole. So Q by Consid is a part of all aspects of Consid. It's a part of the recruitment process. How can we be more inclusive and diverse when we are recruiting? And also a part of our sales pitch, that we're talking about Q by Consid as a part of the company. So I guess when you start working at Consid, you also align with all these kind of values. Otherwise, you wouldn't work here. So even the leaders, they have training in how to maybe approach a transgender person, for example. And we can also do specific training. So it is a part of the whole company. So I guess that makes it more accepting and welcoming for people. if that answers your question.
Yes, yes. And tell me, how long your company made this kind of pledge, I would say, and what was the result in the past, if for now, how long you've been doing, and what are your successes, and if you can share maybe some of your, if you can, about some of your candidates, and why the company continued to do that, even though there's so many discussion of the past, year with Trump administration and many companies, as you probably know, American companies who just basically withdraw totally from this kind of policy. So, so tell me why your companies decided to still to continue, and do you see any advantage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it is an economical advantage. We see that teams that are more diverse have a better team, what do you call it? A better teamwork together when they are diverse groups, and they create better products, they create better solutions, because they can overlook everyone's user needs. And if they don't do that, maybe they exclude a large group of people. So Consid has been working with this since 2013, I think. And even now, when Trump and everything that is happening in the world, we don't see that as a threat, because this is a part of our like core values. So it doesn't affect us, because we can still see that if we have more diverse teams and a diverse company, we can make better profit, we make better teams, and we can reach a broader society of people.
And what about Julia? Do you find that it's important, for example, that the Consid has this policy and has this in-cultural approach when you speak to candidates? Do you find that it's welcomed and this is some kind of differentiation of your company against others, especially that so many companies are, withdrawing from those policies?
I mean, I agree with what Philippa mentioned, and I feel like even in Poland, it does seem to, have a positive sort of impact, and I hear positive thoughts and words from the candidates that we engage with, even in Poland, with and they resonate with the values that we have. So I feel like that's. Which is also why Consid is actually being introduced in Poland, so that we can have more, internal webinars and to engage with, more local communities in Poland, around this topic. One more thing that I wanted to just mention here is also the fact that some of the customers and clients that we're working with here on the Scandinavian market, but they also sort of recruiting here in Poland. They also have such policies. They are also looking to be diverse, to be inclusive, and I feel like what we're also trying to do here in Poland when it comes to Consid is to sort of be the partner to to our clients and to our customers, and to be sort of in this inclusivity together, and to show that there are not only the only companies that are actually doing that. And despite the fact that, as you said, Joanna, there are companies that are sort of reversing, withdrawing from this sort of aspect, but still trying to be within it and kind of embrace it and make it ensure that the Kubai content is actually more introduced here in Poland, and that we can just make it a bigger thing.
Well, that's amazing, and we're really happy that you actually continuing, and we're proud that Europe is remaining with their approach. And I totally agree that more diverse teams it's just much better output. And so I'm just going to start, just because I know there's a lot of people wondering about, what's the role and positions are. And can you, and I kind of stop you, Julia, when you started to talk about, preparation for the candidates. Can you tell us about, what your best kind of tips, or what you think is the best way to prepare and how to sell themselves when they have this possibility to have an interview? So how someone can be prepared, and someone how can be present, and what you think is like the best kind of practices you see.
Okay, so maybe I'll just provide some general tips, even when like from beginning, like from when you apply, right? Because I feel like when it comes to the interview process as a whole, like especially when it comes to the international environment, something that you have to kind of have in mind is that it isn't about you being flawless. It's about kind of demonstrating your self-awareness and actually owning your story. So one of the things that I really want to kind of recite on today to make a real difference is to, first of all, don't recite your CV during the interview. More kind of narrate it, like be ready to explain why you chose, like why you chose this and that, right? Why did you switch the technology stack that you were working with before? Why were you freelancing?
To do a storytelling, right?
Exactly. Yeah, to do it in a nutshell, but to be concrete, concise, and to kind of reflect on that level. I mean, to reflect on what kind of what you brought to the business, or like what kind of projects you did, because that kind of this kind of shows to the interviewer, and it helps us understand your kind of direction and the path that you want to take. And it also shows that the candidate can connect the dots, in the journey, because I often see that candidates might get lost due to the stress at the very beginning of the interview, right? And I feel like it's really, really important to just tell your story, own your own story. Don't just read your CV, but just tell me why, like what you have done. That would be one tip. The other one would be the communication, and perhaps practice in your business communication. That's what I would say. And why? Because your ability to explain your thinking is kind of like the most important, to ensure that you're clear, you're calm, and that even when you're speaking to a non-technical people, you are able to to communicate, to describe a problem that you've solved or the options you considered, etc., without sounding unclear or defensive. Because as you know, during the interviews or during the HR interviews, you're not always going to be speaking with someone from tech, right? But then again, you have to have in mind that perhaps that HR person might actually be a developer as well and have the right kind of expertise. But I feel like the communication is the second tip, to kind of practice that business communication, and to be clear when we're speaking with the interviewer, because it does often separate a strong candidate from a hireable one. And definitely some other tip that I would kind of give here is to show that you're curious, and that you are given, if you're of course interested in the position and in the job that you want to acquire, is to I would say engage in quality questions. So what we often see is that candidates don't get prepared. So it would be good to prepare questions that are not generic, but with specific, thoughtful ones that will tell the interviewer that you're engaged, that you want to know how team works, or how feedback flows, or for example, how success is measured, right? These sort of questions. And I would also say one more thing is to kind of have in mind that interviews are not exams. I feel like a lot of people, probably due to stress, feel like it's just really stressful time, right? When it comes to the interviews, when someone's looking for a new job, etc. But these are just conversations. I would treat it as some sort of networking, meeting new people, and building a new possible opportunities to meet with that particular person somewhere else in other companies, to kind of build trust and actually sort of that's what I tell the candidates also most of the time, to treat the interviews like it's not only for the employer to get to know you, but it's also for you to get to know the employer, right? Which is where the communication comes from, where your questions as the candidate should come across as well throughout the interview. And this kind of confidence and calmness definitely would help out throughout the interview to kind of get the foot in the door and be more present throughout the meeting with the interviewer. So
my take would be that be prepared to be natural, know your story, so explain about what you did in a very direct but very presentable way, but still be very confident. I understand that be prepared to have questions. So I think a lot of people don't take that because they think afraid to question. So it's great that you mentioned that. And also wonder, do you ever try to use AI to see if it's coming with a good question? For example, I know it has seen this before, that basically you can put to AI to read basically the job posting and reading the website of the company, and they say, okay, prepare me for the interview, ask me the questions. Do you try that? Is it really coherent to what you really do, or do you think it's really hallucinations?
Well, I'm not sure if you could clarify the question one more time, because I think I'm a little confused.
AI, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini, to prepare yourself for the questions, for just to get smoothly through interview. If I'm gonna say, I'm gonna prompt saying this is a position I'm applying, and I'm gonna include in my prompt your basically the description of the job application, and then
okay, so basically like getting prepared with the,
and then they say, okay, now get me to the questions which probably will happen during the interview, so I can basically go through it and we might prepared. Did you seen that kind of way? Someone who's doing
Yes, I did, and it is helpful. I mean, that's another thing of the story when it comes to AI tools, which I said before, right? That you have to verify the sort of like the information that comes out of it, right? The output from that particular tool. But when it comes to actually preparing for the interview and using the tools like ChatGPT or Gemini, please do so. I mean, use as much prompts as you can. Use I've been even telling my friends that are within IT, or to help them prepare for the technical interview, for example, because then if the recruiter sometimes might not be able to prepare you for the client's interview, because it happens in recruitment agencies, for example, and I know that myself. So it is helpful. But what I would say is to be to verify these questions elsewhere, just to kind of double check and prepare as much question as you can, just so that you have like a list before the interview that you can go through, just so that you do not get kind of shocked. And you have to also be prepared for the unknown, right? Because as I said, AI may not be 100% direct and correct. So the interviewer might surprise you, but I would definitely say that it's useful. And I would use it. If we have the tools that could help us improve and be more efficient and prepare for the interview, I've seen people do that, and I strongly recommend doing this as well. At least from my perspective. I don't know, Philippa has the same approach. So
what you would say, Philippa or Julia, which should not be done during the interview, or what is the worst kind of situation you've seen, and so somewhere others can learn from. Do you have some of these kind of stories you want to share in terms of like, this is you should not do?
I think like just being rude. I've met some people that are basically rude, and maybe they have the wrong perspective on things. For example, I interviewed a technical lead once, and I said, what makes you a good technical lead? And he said, I like to the side over people. So maybe that's not a good answer. Maybe you can think it, but but I mean, be interested, ask questions. If you don't do that, I'm asking myself, why are you here if you're not interested? So I think it's not that super hard to make a really bad interview. You just have to be interested and be able to talk about yourself and don't interrupt or something like that. And as Julia said, don't expect the recruiter to not be technical. They might as well be, actually.
I would actually add to that some things, maybe because we're also talking about the international companies, right? So just in terms of what sort of like common mistakes that I actually came across was that, for example, there was a candidate that we were really happy to move ahead for the first sort of meeting, and we were discussing the I'm talking about the English fluency, right? So when we're talking about the international project, of course English is hugely important, because on a daily basis you are working within the international team, you are communicating daily in English. So overstating English fluency is kind of like another one, because being fluent doesn't mean reading the communication, it means actually being able to hold a conversation under pressure and to be able to kind of speak to stakeholders, to be able to kind of communicate with people during the interview. So we had a situation where in the CV, the candidate mentioned that his English is, let's say, fluent and C1, but then once the interview actually started, we had to stop and pause, because the English the candidate just told us that he can't speak English. So I would say do not lie within the CV. Just make sure, and this could be perhaps a tip for for people that want to create their resumes, their CVs, to ensure that your CV is concrete, that you mention what kind of level of English you have, that you write down, like if you don't have commercial experience, to write down the links to your GitHub profiles, to the projects that you have done, not the tutorials from YouTube, but more of a personal and tuned projects that you have worked on yourselves or within a group. Or if you have some commercial experience already, then write down what kind of project it was, what technology stack did you use, because recruiters, obviously we are looking for buzzwords, right? So if we're looking for a full stack developer that has the Python, like the Node.js experience, TypeScript and React on the front end side, that's kind of what we're going to be looking at. And if we're looking for someone with 5 years of experience and we're seeing that there's only one project where you're utilizing these skills, then automatically you are being rejected. Right. So I would say it definitely ensure that your CV is clear in terms of projects, in terms of technology stack, and then that English is also on a good communication sort of level for the projects, because that's kind of the mistakes that we did come across, unfortunately.
Well, we say that to our students, that basically they have to have B2 level at least, and during the course we provided 40 hours of English in IT, so they can learn technicality, and we tell them all the time to really make sure that the level of English is sufficient to apply. That's great. But now I'd like to ask Filipa a little bit about, because we were very much interested in, getting more women to technology, and, and it's important to creating a network for women. So can you give us any tips for, women who are here or other alumni who probably will listen to this when we post the webinar? How is a woman can create themselves impact in very male-dominated IT world? What's your kind of tips for us?
I think to create the change in the industry, it doesn't happen only through systems or policies. It also has to be a work done by yourselves and also by other women for other women. So that's where networking comes in. And I'm not talking about collecting business cards. I'm talking about like connection with other people and real community and support. And I think one of the small steps to start with is just talk with people. Go to events like this ones or physical events, attend meetups, and just talk with people, because you might have an opening there, and they might remember you and say, oh, wait a minute, I met this person once, maybe we can try with that one. And also, like, be visible, share your journey on LinkedIn. It's very important to use LinkedIn, and GitHub, for example. Upload your projects there if you have some. And also the last one, which was the first one I talked about as well, is allyship, because I think that women needs to be supporting other women as well, because that will create a powerful and sustainable change. So we have to help each other to open doors for each other as well. So I think that's a really important part of it as well. If you have one way in, please help, reach a hand out for someone else. So allyship, I would say, and networking.
Thank you very much. So I think we can switch now a little bit to and focus on the questions. And there's some questions about people who are foreigners in Poland. And I see they have this, even they have a mid-level experience, they have problem finding a job. What would you say to that? Do you looking for foreigners as well? Obviously, they have to have a visa, right? Or you only, is there any difficulty for someone who is not Polish to have a job in food Consid?
We can't. You're
muted.
Julia.
Sorry. Okay. So in terms of being like in terms of Poland, because I will just focus on you know on our local market here. We are hiring on a B2B basis, and having said that, we are having foreigners in our team right now as well. So it's not like it is an issue, but you would have to have your own company registered in Poland to be able to be hired at the end of the day. So we are taking foreigners into account. You can absolutely apply. But you would have to be eligible to kind of have your company registered in Poland, first of all.
Mm-hmm. And in Sweden, we require Swedish.
As a language.
Yeah, as a language, to be able to hire, at least right now. This might change, but right now, that's how it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I guess, so the mid-level, you have positions for mid-level at the moment. You have. Okay. So Diana, go on the website, right? Did you have to post it? Or they should look for the LinkedIn, for Consid on LinkedIn? Where's the best place for you to find? You can basically even share the link where you're posting jobs at the moment.
Sure. So so in terms of Sweden, I know that we have a career website where you can follow the job opportunities. When it comes to Poland, it gets a little bit tricky because we don't have the opportunities on the website. And what we usually do, we use just Join IT, for example, to publish the offers, and we are working on a career website to kind of have everything on one sort of page, as to say, so that I would say after the summer holidays that everyone could monitor our website and actually be able to apply, because right now it's kind of like a fixed issue that we have where the job opportunities that we have here in Poland are not actually published on the website. But as soon as that will be there, I would strongly recommend to monitor the website closer to the end of the summer holidays, because that's where we would be probably starting to hire, and everything will be set up for Poland either way.
So you're saying there will be much more positions by the end of the holidays. Okay, so yes. It's a good time to know Consid and then follow on no websites or whatever to see if there's anything interesting for you guys. And someone asked, Małgorzata, she said, I used to work as an IT project coordinator, also help with team collaboration, especially for introverted programmers. Those a similar position currently exists in your companies. Filipa, that's I guess for you, or Julia. Project coordination to help.
Yeah, I mean, we need project managers, but we are not in need of project coordinators. I'm not really sure what that is, but it seems, I mean, we are in need of like Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, or project coordinators. I'm not familiar with the introverted programmers type. Like, if it's a specific
And this
one.
is more like they have experience, and so it's a good benefit basically. But
Okay, now I get it.
I think if you are IT project coordinator, I think you definitely, it's like you could apply for Scrum Master, right? Because I think you have.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're not in need of that right now, but we might need it be in the future.
Okay, so it's some benefit of you. It's good to express. And someone asked about how important are candidate references. Do you check references? Obviously, Julia, do.
So for me, not exactly. There are some cases, I think, since I started working at Consid, we had two customers that actually wanted to check the candidate references, and we checked them. However, that's not something that we have in practice at the moment. So to answer like the second question I'm saying here from Małgorzata, the candidate CV is the most important. So as I said before, the projects, what you have been sort of working on, that's kind of what we are looking at. Mostly candidate references are not important. That's not something that we're looking into.
Okay, so basically it's your projects who shows what you know, and so the GitHub, putting the links to GitHub is crucial. Okay, and someone was asking about CTO. I don't know if you can say what average salary for CTO. I don't know if you have a role of CTO, because it's more like a CTO. It's within the company, not as a service base what you're doing. So obviously,
I don't even think we have a CTO at our company.
Because
it might be one of the ones that created the company, but I'm not sure.
You're working for a CTO, so obviously it's not basically. Okay, so someone who knows Norwegian apply for a job position in Sweden.
Yeah, that's fully possible. I mean, Norwegian and Danish are basically the same. I would say Norwegian is easier to understand. So please apply. I think that would be possible.
Okay.
You can just add me on LinkedIn if you have questions.
Oh, that's very good. I think it's something we didn't pick up, and I think this is good for Philippa about the diversity inclusion. That's not only gender, but also culture, but also the aging. Is someone who's 50, started learning, recently started career in area contacted to AI and data analysis. So what about people who are over 50? What do you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's never too late. We don't care about how old you are or what your gender is and ethnicity. I mean, everything is possible. We don't like discriminate on age either. It doesn't define you. It might be harder to get in, of course, but it's not impossible.
Okay. So great. So to closing, is there anything or maybe you like to add as something you like to leave this webinar for people to live with, your most important kind of remarks? What will you say, Philippa, to people with us who are wonder how they can enter the amazing world of IT and working for Consid? What will be your kind of takeout from this conversation?
Okay. Well, I guess just be yourself, because if you're like lying and exaggerating, we're going to figure it out either way. And you might be the person we're actually looking for. Everyone doesn't need to be introvert or extrovert or whatever it is. I mean, you're perfect the way you are. You don't have to worry.
Okay, great. Julia?
I would say basically the same what Philippa. So tech needs people, like IT still needs people like you guys, and people who care and who want to grow and who bring the whole selves to the table. So I'm definitely looking forward to having more people being engaged within the IT market, and perhaps see them on our paths will cross through interviews at Consid.
That's great. So guys, thank you very much. And I'm just, again, very happy that Consid is part of our partners who are recruiting our alumni. As I mentioned, what was mentioned earlier, there's going to be probably new openings in September. So guys, study, do your projects, put it on your GitHub, trying to express what you're doing and express your personality. If you are in gender transition, or you're afraid that someone will be interested in your gender, you don't have to worry, because Consid is a very welcome environment. And so I'm so happy that you be able to join this very great company, and I'm sure we're going to have another opportunity to speak to Consid on maybe with some of your teams from your members who are actually working on project, and talk about the projects. So I'm definitely, this is not the last time we're meeting each other. So thank you very much, Julia, and thank you very much, Philippa, for joining us this Wednesday afternoon. And if you have any questions, you know how to write us to future callers, and we hopefully going to see our alumni starting a position in Consid very soon. And join us to hope that. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Bye.